Today I'm looking at the Pisces Alpha, a new class of fishing reel the manufacturer calls a hybrid drive. It's marketed as the world's first fishing reel to combine traditional manual fighting with an electric assist motor. By having the hybrid, you're still going to retain that fishing feeling, that jigging action that you want to get, the excitement of when you hook up and strike on a fish. Then you've still got that motor assist to take the fatigue out of the constant winding and battling of the fish. The real question will be, will a hybrid reel find a wider market, or is it just a gimmick? So what is a hybrid reel exactly? It's a reel that sits in between the traditional overhead and, say, jigging manual style reels and a motor drive, fully electric reel. So with traditional reels, the angler does all the work, and with motor reels, the angler does practically none of the work. The idea behind the hybrid reel is to combine the best of both worlds. So you get that manual feel when you're fishing, but then you have the motor to engage when you need a little bit of extra horsepower to get that big fish up. It doesn't just winch fish up on its own, you're still in control. But for me, the biggest advantage, I think, is going to be reduction in fatigue. Fishing in deep water, you do get quite tired from either the jigging action or the winding. So with a hybrid style reel, you can eliminate at least partly, if not all, of that fatigue. Even in moderate depths, there's always going to be a bit of current in the sea, and quite often you'll be pushed off your marks and you'll have to reposition your boat or your jet ski. And that winding up over in that deep water can be quite fatiguing. So the idea of having a motor assist is really, really good news. Before we get into the performance and my real world tests of this reel, the key published specs we have so far are the following. It can retrieve line up to a maximum of 655 feet per minute, which is around 3.3 meters per second. The drag is rated to 70 pounds, which is 32 kilograms. The line capacity spill with PE5 is 760 yards, or around 700 meters. It's a dual speed reel with gear ratios of 5.3 to 1 and 2.1 to 1. The waterproof rating is IPX7, which means it can withstand temporary immersion in 3 feet or 1 meter of water for up to 30 minutes. This Pisces Alpha features a CNC machined aluminium body. It's got 17 ball bearings, 4 clutch bearings. The manufacturers claim that it's about 30 to 50% lighter than the majority of motorized reels on the market. So overall, there's a saving of weight. It's also got that unique manual capabilities, which fishermen are going to really love. As a pure jig reel, you do feel the weight on your arm. However, in the context of the assisted deep water fishing, manual control, etc., feels well balanced for its intended purpose. There's definitely a learning curve to understand a lot of the settings on this reel. There's a lot of control you can have. There's quite a few settings and features, and this isn't something you'll fully master in 5 minutes. Being a pre-release unit, the documentation was limited, but I found the controls pretty intuitive. I've had enough information from a short walkthrough video to confidently take it offshore on my first test trip, and the inbuilt status screen that's on the top of this, it looks a little bit like a large Apple Watch. The controls are very similar in the way that you go into the settings and navigate your way through. So it wasn't that hard to figure it out. So after setup in the screen menu, some of the reel modes are activated by the mechanical switches found on the reel body and handle. If you're reasonably tech savvy, you'll figure it out pretty quickly, and you can set it and forget it. And as you get more experience with the reel, you may find places where you can actually trim and change to suit your fishing style or locations. Used purely as a manual reel, for me, it performed quite well. The drag is really smooth. It's got great stopping power, and the retrieve feels really solid under load. Added weight aside, the jigging felt pretty natural. For the test, I mounted it on an Ocean's Legacy Deep Elements PE5 spiral wrap rod, and that seemed a pretty good match for this reel for me. You wouldn't choose this reel for shallow water jigging, but in Deep water delivers the excitement of a manual reel's bite and fight. One huge benefit I found in my short fishing experience with this has been using that power mode to retrieve your lure off the bottom when you're repositioning to set a new drift. That's where a lot of the fatigue can come from, was winding up that lure when you're repositioning. So having that motor, I found just fantastic, just to quickly zip that lure back up to the top, reposition and get it down again very quickly. All right, let's talk about the assist modes and the on-water performance. The reel offers several operation modes designed to suit several fishing scenarios.
Power assist is really helpful.
The assist mode adds motor power while you crank the handle. You control both the assist strength and retrieve speed via the built-in screen. Freehand mode allows one-handed jigging by simply lifting the rod. Sensitivity and wave compensation can be fine-tuned to suit the conditions as well. And boost mode is activated by a trigger on the handle, and the deeper you pull that trigger, the faster the motor runs, up to the awesome 3.3 meters a second. Switching between the modes is pretty easy with the switches. The screen gives you an idea of which mode you're in instantly. So specs and theory are one thing, but what really matters is how the reel will perform in the real world. So here's an example. I was actually looking at my sounder and I had the lure pretty close to the bottom, a few meters off the bottom.
It's a good fish too. Oh, decent fish. What is this? Can you? I want to track the sharks. What a power assist.
As you wind the reel, the motor engages and assists your cranking, so you're actually getting a lot more power at each wind from that motor assist.
What do we got?
It was an interesting scenario with a relatively big fish on the line. I'm winding and it's struggling and pulling line on me, but when I'm actually getting some winds in, the motor's assisted me, so I don't have to turn quite as much.
So the power assist is awesome.
Now all those settings can be changed within the reel on the water, and should you find that the motor assist is too strong or too weak, you can adjust it on the fly.
Oh, how good is this? Oh, it's an amberjack. Oh yes, he's just on the 65, and that's the first decent fish on the Piscisea.
So that fight is a bit of an example of what this hybrid reel's been designed for. It allows you to fish deeper for longer with far less fatigue and without taking that excitement away that a purely electric motor would. So this test reel came spooled with 80-pound braid, and that's pretty standard for motor reels. The reason being with the amount of line that you could have out, you do need a pretty strong braid so it doesn't just snap on you. However, when jigging in deep water with current, line diameter matters. So a friend of mine who's a specialist deep water jigging fisherman recommends nothing bigger than a PE3 rated line. So what you should be looking for is a PE3 thickness, but the heaviest or the strongest breaking strain line that you could find. The reel can measure how much line goes out, like most motor reels, and some manual reels have the ability to track how much line that you actually let out. You zero the counter with a button on the front here, and then you drop it down, and it will count in metric or imperial the depth that your lure is at. When you're looking at your sounder and you're seeing fish through the water column, you can actually start jigging where the fish are and not have to go to the bottom and jig up looking for those fish. So it's great having a combination of seeing where the fish are on your sounder, but then being able to accurately drop your lures, your bait or whatever to that particular depth. Now let's talk about the battery and power system. So this is the battery system that was supplied for my test unit. And they claim 8 hours roughly of action. Now I probably had about 30 or 40 top to bottom winds and a few fish fights on this reel, and I'm still showing 3/4 of battery left in that. So that's quite good. This is relatively long and bulky to put on a jigging style reel. If you're not jigging and you're just bottom dropping, fine. This could strap to the rod. It's got necessary clips and Velcro straps to put it on there. If you want to put it around your waist, there's clips, but that's exactly what I did when I was fishing with it. Because of the power consumption is quite good, it sort of led me to believe that maybe, 2 of these, smaller size, smaller footprint, would be better, because I could then leave it on the rod because the weight would be almost negligible. Half of this would still be plenty of time, and I could carry a second battery and just change over midday if I burnt through it. Let's get the battery as compact as possible and as light as possible so that it can be a self-contained unit on your rod. All right, so you're using a motorized reel, battery operated. What happens when the battery goes flat? Well, there's two solutions. First of all, the reel comes with alligator clips that you can connect to a regular car battery or marine battery or some other style of battery that has terminals. That's one way. And of course, the big benefit of the hybrid is that if you have no power, you still have manual operation. The Pisces Alpha reel also has a lot of smart features, and in fact, it has a mobile phone app. In the app, you can save and switch between custom reel profiles, record fight data, including depth and torque. You can access AI-based information on species and perhaps rigs, check the weather and tides, and you can also share your catches to social media. It could also be a bit of a game changer for the physically handicapped who still want to get out there and enjoy fishing. And the reel could even connect up to your action camera to allow you to start and stop your recordings. This is not for everybody. It's not for people who are fishing shallow water. It's for people who are going out offshore generally, or they're in deeper water in lakes, and they're trying to fish that 60 meters or 180 feet to 200 feet and above region. The reason is that by having the hybrid, you're still going to retain that fishing feeling, that jigging action that you want to get, the excitement of when you hook up and strike on a fish. Then you've still got that motor assist to take the fatigue out of the constant winding and battling of fish in the depths. It's best suited to those longer offshore sessions where you don't want to go fully electric. It's impractical. In my case, on a jet ski, it'd be fairly impractical. But if I was out on a boat, I think I want to retain that fishing experience. Just throwing a lure over the side and then using a motor to wind it up takes a lot of the excitement of catching and feeling that strike, winding that fish in. So this is going to retain a lot of that experience, but also reduce the fatigue so you can keep doing it all day long. So to me, this is definitely a new category of reel. It's different. It's quite exciting to see what may happen in the development of software for these and what other things are possible to enhance that fishing experience. So I'd love to get your thoughts. What do you think? If you're fishing that deeper water, would you like to put one of these into your fishing kit? Hope you enjoyed this sneak peek of the Pisces Alpha reel. For more fishing action, tips and techniques and adventures, please visit the Jetcast channel on YouTube.